Honey, have you decided what you want for your birthday?
Yeah, I want some red shoes.
Okay, whoa. Look down at your shoes, honey. What color are they?
I don't know.
Come on, tell Mommy, what color are they?
I don't know, Mom.
You don't know your colors.
Yes, I do.
Of course you do. What color are they?
They're brown.
Brown, good.
I don't really like brown.
Why? Brown is a mixture of a whole bunch of nice colors.
No, it's not, Mom. I like shiny shoes.
Oh, you like shiny shoes. You can't wear shiny shoes outside, though. You're going to get them all grubby.
But then I can clean them when I come inside.
No, you don't want to have to do that. Yeah, I think you mean Mommy will have to clean them when you come inside.
No, I can clean them myself.
I don't believe you.
Yes, I will, Mom.
Okay.
Mom, I want red shiny shoes.
Did I ever tell you the story about the little girl in the red shoes?
No.
Okay. Look down at those shoes of yours. Those beautiful brown babies covering your toesy woesies there. And be very thankful that you have brown shoes and not red shoes. Because when people have red shoes, they have to be very, very careful. Once upon a time, just last week and around the corner, there was a poor little girl with absolutely no mom or dad or money whatsoever. She was very sad. So she decided, because her feet were bare and it was the freezing middle of winter, she'd have to make herself a pair of nice shoes. So she found some scraps of cloth next to the garbage bin, and they happened to be the most beautiful red color, the color of Snow White's apple. Except they weren't poisonous. No, they were beautiful. They were the real deal. So she put some scraps of cloth together and she made the most unique pair of red shoes. She was out walking one day in her beautiful shoes. She was so happy and in love with these shoes. They just matched her personality to a T. Then this old lady in the most luxurious Cadillac you've ever seen pulled up beside her one day. She said, "Goodness gracious, child, you are a most pitiful sight. Come with me out of the cold and stay with me at my house." So away to the old lady's house they went, where the lady cleaned her up really nice. She combed her hair and she taught her how to act like a lady. She told her not to laugh too loud and to speak when she was spoken to, for heaven's sake, not the other way round. Oh, and the old lady threw away those dreadful shoes that just weren't right for winter. She put those shoes in the microwave, actually, because she thought that would zap the dirty little buggers. And actually, they melted beyond recognition. The child felt kind of sad now, because even though she wasn't cold anymore, and she had her own iPad and all the good channels on TV, and a really nice pair of expensive black shoes that all the other kids would have actually thought were the coolest, she didn't have those shoes that she made with her very own hands. Now, she finally became old enough to get confirmed in church. The old lady thought this would be good for a girl from the streets. So she took her to buy her own pair of proper church shoes. In that shoe store, man, oh man, did they have the nicest pair of red shoes you've ever seen. Just like the kind I know you're yearning for, honey. The old lady's eyesight was getting really bad, and she couldn't make out the color of the shoes. And since the man working at the store raved about how fine that leather was, well, the old lady just had to buy them, because no adopted daughter of hers was going to have some cheapo church shoes. No. But OMG, when she went to church the next day, everyone thought those shoes were the most ridiculous shoes they had ever seen in their lives, especially for church. God doesn't want a child to be confirmed in shiny red shoes. Seems a bit sinful, actually. Actually, it seems totally indulgent. By the end of the service, the woman was informed of the real color of the shoes, and holy moly did the poo-poo hit the fan. "Never, ever wear those red shoes again!" she yelled. However, the next Sunday, the girl couldn't help but choose the red shoes over the ugly brown ones the lady bought for her instead, because this was a special time in her life now. She was getting confirmed. She was a preteen, maturing into a teenager. And when they were leaving church after the service, one of the old guys who had taken a shine to the little girl said, "Hey, what beautiful dancing shoes!" Well, she couldn't help but start to dance and twirl when he said that. Hey, he's right. That's exactly what these were. Dancing shoes. And all of a sudden it was like her feet had a mind of their own, and they just started twirling and whirling and doing a little disco and doing the Macarena and even a little dirty dancing here and there. It was her hormones starting to take effect, you know. Now the old woman's chauffeur finally managed to grab a hold of the little girl, and he and the old woman pinned the little girl down, and after a huge ordeal of kicking and screaming and feet and shoes flying everywhere, the girl eventually calmed her legs. The old lady scolded her so loud this time, her voice echoed off of the mountains, and they didn't even live very exposed to the mountains. "Don't you ever even think about wearing those red shoes again. The old woman went into her own bedroom, put the shoes high up on a shelf, with a bunch of other things the girl wasn't supposed to use. But soon later, the old lady became so sick from elder age, she had to stay in bed every day for months. Finally, after weeks and weeks, one day, the girl just couldn't stand it anymore. It was all she could think about was those red shoes. She went into the woman's bedroom while she was sleeping, grabbed the shoes, and put them on. As soon as they touched her feet, she was overcome with an urge to dance. And dance and dance she did. But it wasn't even good dancing anymore. It was this terrible, manic dancing. And she got absolutely no rest. When she tried to take the shoes off, they held fast to her feet. She danced day and night. She couldn't even use her iPad mini anymore. Then, when she danced into the churchyard one day, a spirit there wouldn't allow her to go into the church to ask for a blessing. It just said, "You'll not stop dancing ever, and you'll freak the living daylights out of everyone you pass. And they won't even make eye contact with you, for fear that if they look you in the eye, your fate will become theirs." Finally, she went to a plastic surgeon doctor that the old lady had been seeing for a few years. Well, more than a few years. And she begged him to cut off her feet because she couldn't take the shoes off and make her little stumps not look too rough. So he cut off her feet and did what he could. And the red shoes with the feet in them kept dancing right out of his office and down the streets of Vancouver. Now the girl couldn't walk, and her life was never the same. However, she never ever once wanted red shoes ever again. So, how do you like them apples? Maybe I should get purple shoes. Purple shoes? Purple shiny shoes? Yes! Can I, Mom? Honey, what do you think this story is saying? What's the message? I got me some horses to ride on, to ride on. They say that your demons can't go there. So I got me some horses to ride on, as long as your army keeps perfectly still. You showed me the meadow and milkwood and silkwood, and you would if I would, but you never would. An afro, a pharaoh, I can't go, you said so, and threads that are golden don't break easily. So I got me some horses to ride on, as long as your army keeps perfectly still, keeps perfectly still, keeps perfectly still. Today we're going to talk about how society and certain people as a result of that society convince us to stray from the wild nature that we were born with and that continues to guide us. Our instinctual nature that tells us what to do and where to go next. These ideas are from my favorite author, Clarissa Pinkola Estes, and her very famous must read book, Women Who Run with the Wolves. So we're going to talk about people who've gone feral, like this little girl in the story. Now listen up, this might actually sound quite familiar to you. Going feral is when you were once wild and happy, a little untamed, and thus very natural. And then you're captured by whatever turn of events, and thereafter domesticated and or somewhat deadened in your proper instincts. Maybe you've been living the luxurious life. Perhaps you're in a relationship in which you feel that you can't be your natural self. Maybe you're striving towards a goal that's not really pleasing you, but it's pleasing another. So you're groping in the dark. You have no idea where the hell to go next because this roadmap certainly doesn't seem to have your name anywhere on it. Now, when we finally, after a long hiatus away from our true selves, have the chance to return to our wild and natural selves, we can step into all kinds of traps and take in all sorts of poisons to help us to try to return to our old self again. We loved our wildness and we want it back, but it's become foreign to us because we've been away from it for so long. So we get into gambling or perhaps bizarre business ventures, drugs, poor relationships, ungrounded religions or cults, crazy diets that really don't contain the proper nourishment for our particular minds and our bodies. Addictions like sex or shopping, idleness, laziness, lethargy. We think these things are going to make us feel happy and contented because they kind of seem to give us that wild edge that we once had. But when we do these things, we end up in a feral state. We're wandering around in life desperate to compensate for a long famine or a long exile from our soul, as Clarissa Pinkola Estes would put it. An exile from what really matters to us as individuals. Being feral, Estes states is being excessive and striving mindlessly towards goals or people that aren't nurturing, substantial, or long-lasting. Goals like looking perfect, being at the top, feeling up, having a lot of money, having the best kept house ever, having this or that degree in something important, deemed as important, being in a relationship for the sake of having someone on your arm or in your bed or whatever. Now, this story obviously doesn't have a Cinderella kind of ending. In fact, this character lives miserably ever after. And the psychological truth in the story, The Red Shoes, is that our meaningful life can be taken away from us unless we hold on to or retrieve what Estes calls our wild worth. Without a firm participation in our wild nature, Estes claims that we starve and fall into an obsession of feel-betters, leave me alones, and love me pleases. Now, when we are starved, we will take any substitutes offered. Ones that Estes states are like dead placebos that do absolutely nothing for us. And hideously waste our time and our talents, sometimes even exposing our lives to physical danger. Most of us have worn these shoes at least one time, or perhaps we're wearing these shoes now. And we've danced, or we are dancing out of control, and it feels like we're never gonna stop. It's just this vicious cycle of terrible, manic dancing. Too much shopping, too much sex, too much abstinence, too much work, too much food, not enough food, too much dieting, too much leisure time, so that it's not even really leisure anymore. The loss of the handmade red shoes symbolizes the loss of the self-designed life and passionate vitality, and instead taking on to tame life. This taking on of a less colorful life leads to what Estes calls a loss of accurate perception, which in fact leads to excess. Estes points out that fairy tales end after 10 pages, but our lives, in fact, don't. There are always more opportunities to get it right, to illustrate our lives in the ways that we deserve to have them. Don't waste your time hating a failure, she says, because failure is a greater teacher than success. It actually teaches you not to give up on who you are. If you can't get into law school, well, shit, maybe you're not supposed to be a lawyer. If you can't make it as a dancer, maybe your body is asking something different of you. If you aren't getting your work published, perhaps you need a loosening and a widening of perspective. If you suck at academics, there are certainly so many other options for you. If you're getting a divorce and you are just absolutely beside yourself, well, maybe this is the best direction for you to actually finally come out and rock it. This show, Loser's Advocate, is something that I do and that I take quite seriously as a calling and a vocation. And it is completely of my own design, really. I thought back when I was about 23, well, okay, I can't do physical labor. I'm not as smart as a lot of other people. I'll be lucky if I make it through university. I did. I daydream constantly, and that's not gonna change too much. I can't take competition. I have a low tolerance for stress. I get tired pretty easily because I'm an introvert. I do like making people feel better, and but I could never be a psychologist because I would just first I'd have to do more school, and I don't want to do that, and I'd take my job home with me like there's no tomorrow. So hey, how about I do a TV show about losers like me? And voila, there's my task in life. Here I am, 7 or 8 years later, ranting and raving and BSing. Honey, if the shoe fits, wear it. The shoes are a psychological metaphor. They protect and defend what we stand on, our feet. And to have shoes to cover the feet is, in other words, to have the conviction of our beliefs and the strength to act on them. It's actually easy to get swayed away from our convictions and our beliefs, and we second guess them and think, because no one else quite supports them perhaps, that they must be wrong. Life and sacrifice go together, Estes reminds us. In order to have a vivacious, colorful life, we must make sacrifices of various sorts. If you want to go to university, you have to put in a lot of time and a lot of money. You have to sacrifice so many things and give intense concentration to that endeavor. If you want to create, you have to sacrifice superficiality and some security, often your desire to be liked, in order to bring what's important onto the paper, into the microphone, onto the internet, to the people that truly and soulfully hunger for what you have to offer. And one of those people is most likely yourself. So do yourself a favor and create, design, prepare for what you hunger for. Because chances are there's a lot of other hungry people out there waiting for something like this. There are going to be so many people who do not get what the hell you are trying to do. They don't get your art or your music or your politics, whatever. I'm sure I'm forgetting, so many endeavors here, but you know what yours is, and you know how and that it's perhaps not being supported. Your parents, your siblings, your friends, your lover might not even support you. Although, Estes says that's not a true lover. But I've found it to be the case in my time here on earth. However, you have to sacrifice these people in your life getting you and approving of what you do. And do what makes you thrive, truly thrive from the heart. Because otherwise you really are going to be, like a zombie walking around going through the motions of what they think jives for you. When you sacrifice for them, for your parents, for your lover, for your culture, this perfectly predisposes you to becoming feral. When the old lady zaps the shoes in the microwave, she zaps the girl's source of happiness, and she sets up a yearning and a burning and an addiction to another kind of red. Luxurious red leather shoes. When our souls get starved, when our source of joy is zapped somehow. We more easily get addicted to sex, addicted to money, addicted to the life of luxury, hooked on drugs, hooked to staying inside and watching TV. Anything that's going to give us a fraction of the experience we remember having when we were our true, wild, natural selves. If we remove ourselves from our real and passionate lives and we enter the luxurious Cadillac of that dry old woman, we in fact adopt the thinking and the ways of that crusty old perfectionist. We belong too much to the collective culture or to another thinking style that wants us to think in a certain way or wants us to act in a certain way only. It would be so much easier for us to adopt this thinking style, to act this way, to be this way. And we want to sometimes to make things flow a lot more smoothly, but we can't. It's not our true nature. And that yearning and that lack of true self-knowing and conviction is the reason we grab the shoes. It's the first thing that promises to perhaps make us feel alive again, because we don't feel like we're understood and loved for our imperfect natural selves. We can't put ourselves on a resume. We can't be an item, fit into a box. We can't even fit within the time frame or the parameters of a 2 or 3 hour movie. We're not even that kind of character. But we wish we could. We wish we could have something easy at our disposal that would help to define us and to make us happy all the time. Ebony beauty, past this shade, the looking glass reflects. Then a voice calls me back. This is just circumstance. This is not personal. Oh no, it never is. I have done what I've done, and it has the ultimate consequence. Then a voice calls me back. This is not business, no, it's more like spiritual. Is that what it is? Then you ram your hand in your bag for a little friendly substance. By the time you're 25, they will say you've gone and blown it. By the time you're 35, I must confide you will have blown them all. Ebony beauty, past this shade, the looking glass reflects. Good night, everybody. Keep it real.